My name is Reverend Donna Maurer. I am the minister of the Sonoran Desert Center for Spiritual Living in Amado, Arizona. And here with me today are Melinda Much, one of our precious practitioners, and Heather O'Day, our music director. We're bringing you this inspirational message through Zoom. This will be our mode of communication for the foreseeable future, and we are delighted that you have joined us.
So for our invocation today, we will have Heather start with the bells. And let us take a relaxing breath and turn within. Relax into the knowing. Feel the calmness. Notice a feeling of peace and comfort. As we remember, we are each on an evolutionary path, creating an expansion of awareness as we slow down and become still. In the stillness, we discover our own personal strength. We hear our individual intuition. We reveal our resilience. As we relax, we turn to the presence of God, where all resolutions lie. We are connected in our stillness. Let us enjoy the message and the music today as we share this sacred time together. Let us rejoice. All is well. And together we say, and so it is.
This is a beautiful, beautiful song by our dear friend, Karen Drucker. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace in the stillness of this moment. There is peace. There is peace, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is peace. In the stillness of this moment there is peace. There is peace in the stillness of this moment. There is peace. There is peace, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is peace. In the stillness of this moment there is peace.
Thank you, Heather. It's beautiful. Now, you and I are in an unparalleled time in our history. We're social beings who really, truly, and want and need contact with others. And yet any close personal contact could potentially be harmful to ourselves and to others. And New Orleans credits their upswing in the coronavirus with the crowds of people during Mardi Gras and Carnival before it was even announced that this was a situation. And I watched 2 weeks ago as hordes of young people crammed the beaches of Florida during spring break. And even though we know that this pandemic had begun to sweep the world, these young people with their youth, enthusiasm, and belief in their own invincibility, which are usually wonderful and necessary qualities in the young, have not only potentially infected themselves and their friends, but the virus could be carried back home to family members. I'm not here to scare anybody, but I feel that the more factual information we have, the better decisions we make. And we as a country are used to thinking in terms of linear growth, not exponential growth, the way a virus works. With exponential growth, the increase, while starting slowly, expands rapidly. A king in a far-off country loved to play chess. A carver from the village knew of his love and brought the king a beautiful chess set that he had made himself with board and pieces made of the finest woods and inlays. And delighted, the king offered to pay the chessmaker $1,000. But the chessmaker told the king that he didn't want money. Rather, he would like to be paid in wheat grain. The chessboard has 64 squares. So he asked the king to begin with 1 grain of wheat on 1 square of the chessboard, and then double that in each following square. First square, 1 grain of wheat. Second square, 2 grains. Third square, 4 grains. Fourth square, 16 grains, and so on. The king, not understanding experiential growth, believed he was getting off easy. By the 20th square, the amount of rice, of grain, was about a bushel. And by the 30th square, which is less than half the amount of squares on the board, the total was up to over 1,000 bushels. So to cover the total 64 squares of the chessboard, the king had to pay over 18 trillion bushels of wheat grain, far more than the country's entire supply. And it's been said that in order to satisfy the debt, the king abdicated his throne to the chessmaker. And that's our lesson in exponential growth and why this pandemic is so far-reaching. Like every minister, I agonize over the need for connection with the need to be physically safe. How do we isolate and still share with each other? And I don't have the answers. Right now, our center is open on Sundays from 10:30 till noon for silent meditation. We are abiding by the CDC guidelines of no more than 10 in the building and keeping a 6-foot distance from each other. And we're lucky because we are a small church, small enough to be able to do this, which does give people the option to be together within the guidelines. And we will continue to monitor those guidelines as we go along. And for those who choose to stay in, we are pushing our learning curve. As I said, this is our very first attempt to bringing you our virtual spiritual message. And I thank Heather for her music and Melinda for her spiritual inspiration. I've chosen as my topic today, "We're in this together." It's a phrase that is all over every television channel and from every politician. But it's true. As humans, we are programmed to be together. And so we're finding ways to connect that we would have never considered before. I'm on WhatsApp so that I can talk to my friends, Ruth and Dee, who are now living in Ecuador. And I've had several chats with Patricia Watson, who is our practitioner in Nova Scotia, over Facebook Live, which I didn't even know existed a month ago. And here I am today using Zoom. And I'm learning all of these things. It's a whole new language. It's a whole new thought process. And it's really kind of overwhelming at times. But I'm not alone. Both Melinda and Heather have done an amazing job of learning this stuff and then patiently teaching it to me. And on our minister's listserv, There is advice from everybody that knows anything. So we are all in this together. We're going to get through it, but we need to stay focused on the ways of our connections rather than our isolation. And if we stay focused on our blessings rather than our fears. One of the ways that we can do that is to look for the good and praise it. You know, the Apostle Paul said, in all things, give thanks. And that's perhaps one of the most valuable teachings of the scriptures, because we may not like what is happening. We may not be able to give thanks for what is happening. But the more we can see the good within what we're calling the bad, the less power the bad has over us. There are stories being told from all over the world, stories of hope, stories of people helping each other, stories of resilience, stories of shared heartbreak, and stories of shared joy. So perhaps within this epidemic is the spark of a new story that's about to become the fabric of our world. In his book, The More Beautiful World Our Hearts Know Is Possible, Charles Eisenstein says that the world is waiting for a new story. He believes that the world of separation, which is the world in which we are now living, is on the brink of change, that we are moving ever so slowly toward a renaissance of oneness and unity. He calls it a return to the sacred, if you will. And he believes that this shift in consciousness will call forth a planetary healing and a new story of the people. He says, internally, it is nothing less than a transformation in the experience of being alive. Externally, it is nothing less than a transformation of humanity's role on planet Earth. And we're not there yet, according to Mr. Eisenstein, but we can feel the pangs of new birth. He says we do not have a new story yet, but each of us is aware of some of its threads. For example, in some of the things that we call alternative, holistic, or ecological today. Here and there, we see patterns, designs, emerging parts of the fabric, but the doom mythos has not yet formed. We will abide for a time in the space between stories. It is a very precious, some may call it sacred time. So the stories he mentions are what he calls the story of the people. The old story that is beginning to take its leave is the story of separation, and the new story that is emerging is the story of interbeing. It is the story of our connection with each other and with the planet and the cosmos. And understanding the depth of that connection and living it is the key to creating the world our hearts know is possible. So perhaps this virus is calling out to us at the deepest level of our being, that we are on the brink of a new story and that we're in this together. This story of interbeing, Mr. Eisenstein calls the world of the gift. And this story, this world, offers an entirely different set of answers to the defining questions of life. And he delineates some of the principles of this new story of interbeing. And I've chosen a few to talk about today. That my being partakes of your being and that of all beings. This goes beyond interdependency. Our very existence is relational. That my being partakes, oops. Second one is that each of us has a unique and necessary gift to give the world. The third one, that purpose of life is to express our gifts. And finally, that purpose, consciousness, and intelligence are innate properties of matter and the universe. So what delighted me about this list is that it is what I believe that we talk about every single Sunday. And I believe that you and I, this center and others like it, are the shapeshifters of the world. In other words, that we, in understanding the importance of these principles, are writing the foreword to the new story. And now we are aided in this planetary shift by this pandemic, which is bringing us together as friends, families, neighbors, spiritual communities. We are continuing coming together in a unity that is growing as exponentially as the wheat grains. So Mr. Eisenstein's first principle is that my being partakes of your being and that of all beings. This goes beyond interdependency. Even our very existence is relational. This is the African concept of Ubuntu, which means, in essence, that I am because you are. Archbishop Desmond Tutu described Ubuntu with these words. It is about the essence of being human. It is part of the gift that Africa will give the world. It embraces hospitality, caring about others, being able to go the extra mile for the sake of others. We believe that a person is a person through another person, that my humanity is caught up, bound up inextricably with yours. So this virus may have caused us to shelter in place or stay home. But there are people in Italy standing on their balconies singing together, and that's part of the new story. There are people in New York City standing at open windows applauding their health workers and first responders. And because we have television, we can join them in that expression of appreciation. Here at home, Doris Austin turns up her boombox and neighbors dance in rhythm from their driveways. Loma Woodburn shot for me when I was sidelined with sciatica, and I wasn't the only list that she had. Our Armado youth have been putting together food boxes for the neighborhood, even including some eggs from Tony Bruno's farm. Musicians from every genre are making Facebook and YouTube videos, holding virtual concerts, and I think Heather is planning to do that for us. Our practitioners are on our Facebook page with inspirational messages. So while we may not be together physically, we are truly proving that we are not only in this together, but we're going to get through it together. Mr. Eisenstein says, each of us has a unique and necessary gift to give the world, and that the purpose of life is to express our gifts. Now, some people struggle with this, thinking that the gift we give must be big and important. But what is important? Is a gift of a large sum of money for a worthy cause any more important than children packing food boxes for needy families? In the story of separation, the money holds the importance. In the new story of connection, the money and the children's participation are of equal importance. Our gift is the essence of who we are, and the reason that we struggle with it is because it is so much a part of us, we don't see it as a gift. In a TED Talk from 2014, political news commentator David Brooke asked, are we living from our resume or from our eulogy? In other words, are we focusing on our accomplishments, on our outer successes or achievements, or do we focus on those inner qualities that are the true gifts that we are here to share with the world? We're looking in the wrong place if we're trying to find our gift through our resume. If we look inside and ask, what gifts can I bring? The love inside us will answer that question, because our gift is our love, showing up uniquely as us and through us, as driveway dancers, as shoppers filling lists for other people, as singers on balconies, as children filling food baskets, as healthcare workers who deserve the applause through the windows of New York City. This virus has given us the opportunity to find and use our true gifts. And I think that's exactly what Paul meant in all things. Give thanks. And finally, our last principle, that purpose, consciousness, and intelligence are innate properties of matter in the universe. And we're finding this true as we learn more about quantum physics, that we live in a universe of intelligence and reciprocity. Now more than ever, we are beginning to understand that far-reaching and profound effects of the statement, thoughts are things. Quantum physics tells us that there is a quantum consciousness that is the ground of all being. According to scientists like Dr. Deepak Chopra or quantum theorist Dr. Amit Goswami, this quantum consciousness is the sea of all possibilities. And it's our thoughts that provide the mold which brings a specific possibility into manifestation from this infinite potentiality. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, says how much life, abundance, goodness, truth, beauty can we mentally entertain? This is the measure of our possible experience. This is the mold of acceptance. The infinite fills all molds and forever flows into new and greater ones. It is the unborn possibility of limitless experience, and we give birth to it. The new story tells us that we have a much greater role to play than what we might have originally thought. It tells us that what we put into consciousness becomes part of our planet's story. So you and I must stand firm in our faith, knowing that there is something greater than we are that knows what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and that we, through our affirmative prayer and declarations, are part of that solution. So while we need to understand this virus and the facts about it, we can also believe that it is accelerating our move from separation to interbeing. And if, as Mr. Eisenstein suggests, we are at that in-between story stage, then we can better appreciate our forced downtime as we shelter in place, use it to meditate, to find our own inner strength and wisdom. When our actions are precipitated by motives based on the concepts of love, connection, Ubuntu, Namaste, then with the strange assistance of this pandemic, we are truly writing that forward to a brand new story. And what the story tells us, shows us, and proves to us is that we are in this together. Thank you. And thank you from my cat, Misty, who you heard in the background. Namaste.
Misty is always welcome at our celebrations. Here's a song of hope. By Satnam Kaur. May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on, guide your way on. May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on, guide your way on.
Thank you, Heather. As we maneuver our way through the challenges that are before us, we ask that you consider a donation to our center so that we can continue to bring our messages to you. It's easy to donate from our website. Just go to www.cslaz.org and click on the donate button. All you need is a credit card, and we thank you in advance for your consideration. And now here's Melinda with our closing prayer.
Thank you, Donna, and thank you, Heather. Very inspirational. For our closing today, I would like to say we appreciate our shared time together. May we each continue our prayer work for everyone in our world, and especially those individuals on our mind today. We know wholeness and peace for each and every one. We see and know that our center continues to thrive as our loving energy supports our center and we connect in various ways. Energy supports us from love, and we hold on to our community of love, focusing on the gifts as we share peace, love, and comfort for one and for all. We appreciate you. The power of Spirit is the life within us that allows us to dwell in peace, that surrounds us with protection, that is available in each and every moment. I thank God and am grateful for all the good. As together we say, and so it is. Namaste, and thank you.